At what point do we, as fathers, stop raising boys and start focusing on raising men? Because if we're being honest, are we putting too much on our boys too early? Four titles, one truth. I'm Tommie.
And I'm Lance.
And today we're joined by Kaleth Wright, retired Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force with 32 years of honorable service for our country. But for this conversation, more importantly, he's a father. Let me start here. Before expectations of manhood really set in for you, describe who you were as a young boy.
Oh man, well, hey, first I appreciate y'all having me on the podcast, man. This is pretty damn cool. And but yeah, as a young boy, I grew up in Columbus, Georgia.
The other Columbus,
yeah. Man, in a house full of folks, right? So we lived in a two bedroom house.
Okay.
It was me, my 5 siblings, my grandmother, sometimes my uncle, my oldest sister's boyfriend, my niece, my older sister's, daughter. So there was a bunch of us sharing 2 bedrooms, man. And we weren't dirt poor, but we were pretty close to it.
Right.
And so lots of struggles, lots of, I grew up with sometimes not having lights, not having gas, so taking cold showers and having to boil water to put in the bathtub, all that type of stuff. But I did grow up in a loving home. My father was not around, but I had a stepfather who, and he's passed away now, but I despised.
Oh.
I mean, I despised this man just because of the type of man he was.
Wow.
And so, as a young boy, my expectations of, what it meant to be a man or how to be a man, was a hodgepodge. Some of it came from him.
Right.
Some of it came from my older brother. I do have a brother that's 8 years older than me, but by the time he went off to college and was gone, I was middle school, maybe.
When you needed it the most.
When I needed it the most, right? And then I think the other thing that kind of helped shape, what I thought manhood meant was the dudes on the street, man, the dudes in the corner that was, buying us 40s and giving us game, on what to do and what not to do, which seemed odd, but I mean, they were actually giving us some real good info because they was like, hey man, y'all don't want to be like us. Now, even though they giving us weed and buying us 40s and, teaching us about the game and all that.
Give me that.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
That's interesting because a lot of us, that phase doesn't last long. So let's get into it. Okay, so around that age, what did being a man mean to you, if anything at all?
The only thing I'd add different from your story to my life is TV. Mm-hmm. That's where I saw the John Waynes and the Shaft,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's where I pulled.
And good times.
And good times, absolutely, yeah. And so that's where I, outside, because my dad was there. My dad and mom were married his whole life, until my dad passed away. Mm-hmm. And so at that age, being a man was, to me, being dominant, being bigger than everybody, because my dad was a big guy and I was a late bloomer. Mm-hmm. So I saw him as all-knowing superhero, and he whenever he walked in the room, it was him. Everything was on him. So my examples of what a man was early, it was the old way of saying, where the man dominates the house, the man earns a living, and the man is the disciplinarian for the house and the security, Mm-hmm. So those were my takeaways early on. I had no understanding of job, no understanding of anything else other than that.
Yeah, I think, for me, it's centered around, I think on the periphery, there was, all of what you talked about.
Yeah.
Security, earning and paying bills and all that type of stuff. But I think what really kind of resonated with me, man, as a young dude was being a man meant being tough.
Yeah.
It meant not crying. It meant not showing emotion.
100%.
It meant like
100%.
like sucking it up and dealing with, because I had dealt with so much, despair and all that stuff as a young person. It was very easy for me to just suck it up, right? And so I kind of equated, manhood to that, which is, something I know we'll get into it, but some of the things, the mistakes I made, particularly with my youngest son, who's 24 now, is I kind of passed along that, don't cry, don't show no emotion, don't, just handle it, just deal with it, be tougher and all this other stuff. And so, if I'm being honest, man, I'm not quite sure I had any idea what
real manhood,
what being a man was really about. It's funny, you were talking about TV shows, and the good times popped in my head because I just remember James, right? John Amos, I think his name is, and how tough he was, and his expectations. And I'm like, okay, I didn't even think about how, him and George Jefferson and Fred Sanford and all them
had an effect on you.
Yeah.
To include, Bill Cosby, which was a whole different kind of way of thinking about fatherhood.
Which was the dream, the
perfect
perfect family.
And that was like after we were little, because we probably all around the same age. So that was like
it was a little
high school
Mm-hmm.
type. I guess that's when the Cosby Show was on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but for me, it's like the same thing when you see the folks on TV. But then my father, and then his brothers. All his brothers were right there where we grew up. So I got to see different.
Exactly.
Like this uncle was like this. So it was like, oh man, that's how you're supposed to be. Get some of that beer. It's just that all of those little things. Had me like, okay. So I had that little menagerie of, yep, that's how I'm. Yep, that's how I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be funny, like, and that's how I'm gonna be. I'm my uncle right there. Yep.
The same.
Yeah, the same.
How much of how you approached your son came from how you were raised versus what you felt they actually needed?
It all came from how I was raised, because it was. What's wrong with you? Because it's because I talked about this before. Is that like my son wasn't athletic or not athletic or anything like that, or in the sports, I should say, because he's an athletic build, but he's just not in the sports.
Mm-hmm.
So that would drive me nuts, because it's like, you seen I play sports and I'm out here and we can go kick the ball, throw the ball, hit the ball, whatever, and you don't want to do none of that. So it was more that. I guess I don't say being hard on them, or just expecting, because my wife gets on me about this all the time, just not explaining. She said, you got to explain yourself. You just can't think that he's going to know what you want to do, or you got to let him know. This is what she was saying. You got to let him know if you're going to, and my son is 25, he'll be 26 this year. If I need him to help me do something the next day, I just can't not say anything till that time and go, hey man, let's go. Hey, I need you to help me do this. I'm supposed to ask him, hey man, could you help me tomorrow to do such and such? And I'm like, my father ain't never tell me that shit. Let alone if I saw him doing something, I took my happy ass right on outside and was like, hey, you need some help, Dad? What? It wasn't anything like. So I had to change I'd see, and the way that I would approach him with that, especially when he was younger, and then being deployed or being not stationed at the same time as him.
A baby.
Yeah,
Which
so
means mama's boy. So
yes,
'cause I was the baby, so I understand.
There you go.
Miles
So you can just
playing.
look at it. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. So just, I know that I jacked up shit early, where it was just like, man, I look at it now, and I'm trying to, as an adult, as an adult man that he is now, try to talk to him and think about how he's doing and what he's doing, and how I can help him the most to continue to grow into them, because he's a great guy. He's a great adult. And it's just, I don't know if I jacked up which I know I probably did. It probably affected him, his confidence and things like that, just from not pulling back how I was raised and how I was brought up.
And adjusting.
Yeah, and adjusting that to where to get the same effects that got me to to push and want to strive to be better and do all of those things that we did. It's just it's a different way that he was raised, which I absolutely understand now and was understanding at the time. It's like I didn't have none of this when I was growing up.
I mean, that's a good point, man. I think, like Lance, all of the mistakes that I made with my sons, particularly my youngest son, it was based on, how I grew up and
100%.
what my expectations were of myself.
100%.
And what I failed to do, man, was really listen and try to understand, because he's his own person.
Yeah.
He didn't have the circumstances that I had. He had no reason to just suck everything up and be tough and all this other stuff. But
and you worked hard to make sure.
Right. But for whatever reason, I levied those expectations on him. And from the get-go, man, I was, and I ain't never been a drill instructor, but I was a drill instructor with that joke. Why you ain't doing this?
Yeah.
When you gonna do that? And how come you're not doing this? And all the way up, man, until he was 18 or 19. That was kind of my 100%. Interactions with him. It was always, and I'll tell you what happened, man. He had a mental health episode, pretty serious, and I had to go to where he was and get him out of the situation. And then I asked him, like, hey man, well, what happened? And he rattles off 6 or 7 things, right? My girlfriend, this, my computer don't work, I don't want to be at this school that I'm at, da 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 da. Now, he never said, and on top of all of that, every time I turn around, you on my case about something. But it naturally, I said to myself, I don't know if I'm 1 or 6, but I'm in that stack somewhere, right? I'm part of this problem.
Yeah.
And that day, man, I realized, like, I got to change my way of, and I apologized to my son, and I said, hey, look, I know I haven't been the best father. I know I've been levying these expectations on you. I know I don't call unless you in trouble or you ain't done something. This and that. Man. And I said, from this point forward, man, I'm going to be more intentional about, allowing you to be who you are, calling just to check in, see how you're doing, let you know I love you. And man, it really, really changed our relationship. Cause I was just like, why am I so tough on this kid? Why do I have such high expectations on he need to do this or do that? Or, he's probably a lot more, sensitive. He's an introvert. I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I want him to be this. I want him to, like, why you don't go out and party? He's like, well, why you want me to go out and party for? Like, you're in college, man. What are you doing? And so yeah, man. I made them mistakes, based on how I grew up and what the expectations I had for myself. Yeah. Right. I expected of myself, just deal with it. Yeah. Just figure out a way to fucking get through it.
Yeah.
And so when he would be going through something, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You worried about that, man? You know how
that ain't nothing.
Block. Block that.
See,
which,
that's right.
It was a huge mistake, man. Just assuming that just because it ain't nothing to me, that it wasn't nothing to him.
I mean, what you just said made me think. I mean, it hit me because I scarred my son the same way, because anytime that I would call, especially when I was stationed up at Fort Hood and they were down here, anytime that I would call and be like, "Where's Miles? I need to talk to Miles." It was like I would have gotten a grade alert from school because of something. So then it was always, negative. "What are you doing?" So then, like, after the fact, now I'll call or something and he'll be like, your mom would be like, "It's your daddy. Pick up the phone." He'd be like, "You ain't got no grade." He's like, "Oh, that's I know," but it's just that thing that still pops into his head. Yeah. That I'm like, God, man, and it's just like I think that we always want the best for them, and we don't want them to ever have to experience any of the hardships that we had to growing up. And in our mind, the only way to do that, make sure that doesn't happen, is you need to do this, and you ain't doing this, so this is gonna happen. Thinking that that's gonna happen to them. But these kids now are so much smarter than us. With the especially with the things that are going on now, their resiliency is probably a little different how they deal with some of that.
We think we're making them tough, but we actually just we're not making them soft, but we're closing them off to right. We're making them. We creating an outer shell to where, I'd rather not deal with this joker. Period, man. If all he gonna do is fuss and cuss, let me just
shut down.
Like you were saying with your son. My son went through that phase too. He kind of still like that a little bit. He's gotten a lot better. I call him, he won't answer. I text him, he won't respond. Because he knew I wouldn't just call him or text him and say, what's up. It was, why you ain't done this, done that, and
just giving them that laundry list.
Then we get mad at them. Like I'm mad at him, but I'm like, well, he like that because of you, sucker. You're like you're the one who created this.
Yeah,
it's the same for me. It's just it's that trauma that I had that wasn't great. You know what I'm saying? So, for instance, my dad was not one of those touchy-feely type people. He's Troy, Alabama. He was the third youngest out of 10. So his situation, his scenario, when it comes to black expectation and man expectation, right, and black man expectation, was so much heavier than mine, right? And so that's why he felt he had to get the message across that I had to be tough, right?
Let me ask you this real quick. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but since your son didn't live with you, did you feel like the time when he was with you that you had to throw?
That's where my scarring of my son came from, because it was moments. Mm-hmm. So it's like every 6 months, Dad's giving me the business, not just correcting him and disciplining him and jumping on him for failures, but I always felt I had to give him all the knowledge I had when he's sitting in front of me. So, like, we used to go to the airport because we would let our child, there was a time where we felt comfortable letting your child fly because the flight attendants would take care of him. And I remember specifically walking a 10-year-old boy around the airport and talking to him about defending himself and protecting himself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's my scarring, to where it's like, I don't think I was overly aggressive when it came to discipline and all that stuff when he was with his mom. But when he came into my world, it was lockstep. It was me, E7, E8, Sergeant First Class, Master Sergeant, First Sergeant, leading a troop instead of raising my son. And like you said, listening and all that stuff. Because my biggest fear for my son growing up was for him to go through any of the racist stuff. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing, no matter how much money I made, no matter how much money I gave them, no matter how much of a better life I tried to make for him, that's the one thing I couldn't protect him from. And so I was just overly, and I know I know I'm bigger than my son, and I saw my son a while ago, about a year ago, and he just looked defeated just looking at me. He was like, I guess he was hoping maybe he misremembered me or something, but he saw me. He's like, you're still big. And I'm like, why is that coming up? And then I'm sitting there thinking like, y'all, and I'm just like, he's scared of me. You know what I'm saying? And he's scared of me because I'm so aggressive, extrovert plus 30, and I'm sitting here leaning in, trying to build him up and make him what I think a man should be, and not listening to him once, or not
who he is as an individual.
To how
I think one of the things that I thought about too, man, is when you are a successful man, right? To whatever extent, you in your mind you believe that your children are a reflection of you,
Yes.
right? And so anything other than excellence and success then kind of makes you
Failure.
feel like I got to figure this out. Like I
Yeah.
got to get you back right. Man, when my son was, I was a single parent at the time, so he was living with me. I was a we call it a command chief,
Right.
so I was the base, equivalent of the base sergeant
gotcha.
major, and I got a he's probably 9 year old son, with me, trying to navigate that, and man, me and this dude got into it so bad about so he's 6'3" now.
Okay.
He's always been a little bit taller and super skinny.
Okay.
And this is the beginning maybe of the skinny jeans era,
Yeah. Skinny jeans.
Right? And I ain't having it, man. I am not having this skinny jeans thing, right? So he wants to wear skinny jeans. That's what's in style. I'm like, nah, man, you ain't gonna go out here and embarrass me with these. And some of it was because, he was already almost, 5'8", 5'9" at 9 years old, and he was already wearing a size 11 shoe or something like that. So he got on these skinny jeans, and then his foot is this big, right? And I'm like, man, you like a clown, man. So I'm arguing with him, I'm fussing with him, I'm hiding the jeans and all this type of stuff. And then I just realized, why should I care?
It's a kid.
He's a kid.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
mean,
he
it's
wanna
boy.
look like.
That's what all of them are looking like that.
Yeah,
So.
but I mean, it was stuff like that, man, where I'm just constantly, instead of just accepting that, I would never wear, at the time, skinny jeans. That it don't make no sense to me.
Yeah.
But I ain't in the
Right.
fourth grade.
Yeah.
I ain't got to,
But you have baggy shorts off.
yeah.
And
Yeah, baggy shorts, baggy jeans.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, being in Korea with them suits made them Steve Harvey suits, man, with the big cuffs.
yeah.
I had my own, fashion issues that I
Yeah.
should have been
All right.
dealing with.
All right, Kaleth, this one's gonna be for you. What do we risk? What do we risk losing in our sons when we rush that process?
Man, I think we risk losing the relationship, a healthy relationship that they should have and that they really want to have with their father.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
Because, again, all of that drilling and all of that toughness and all of that, maybe even well-intentioned stuff that we do to try to make them a man, it ends up backfiring. And again, it creates this outer shell that says, well, when I'm going through stuff with my grades, with my girlfriend, just in life in general, I'm having these thoughts. I feel like I can't do it. I can't talk to that joke.
Yeah.
Because all he going to do is cuss and fuss.
Suck it up.
So guess what? I'm going to just hold it in.
Yeah.
And, we kind of all know, you don't know at the time, but as men now I'm 55, you kind of,
Man, you old.
you kind of realize.
Yes,
We
man.
54.
I know. Woo.
young
God,
bucks,
dog. Yeah.
young bucks.
This
No, you
elder
kinda-
statesman up there.
Yeah, you then kind of understand, man, what holding all that stuff does to a person, right? I'm a young man. I'm going through puberty. I don't really know how to deal with girls. I don't know how to manage girls' grades, sports, lack thereof. I don't. And then my father has all these expectations of me, and I can't talk to him about it because all he's gonna do is tell me to suck it up and be a man and don't cry and don't quit and all this other stuff. Then they ended up holding all that stuff in and carrying it for years, and then it'll come out. It's gonna come out somehow, right? And so I think the big thing you risk losing, man, is a healthy relationship with your son, where that allows him to be expressive, that allows him to say, hey man, I'm sad, or I'm not feeling it, or I don't want to do this, or and helping them understand that it's okay, like you're going to disappoint me, your mother, yourself,
girl,
and that's okay,
happen,
right? That's not the end of the world.
That's right.
Like
we can work
for
through
whatever
it.
reason,
Yeah.
we make it out to be.
Yeah. We risk everything because you end up in a situation like I'm in, to where your son doesn't communicate with you, and it's always at the worst times, meaning every time that we lost communication, I knew how beneficial it would have been to be in his life. You know what I'm saying? Because even though I was super aggressive leaning forward, I knew that because of the path I was walking through, I knew that I could help him. And because of the way I was with him, I missed opportunities to help him. And to go back to what you were saying, my dad was, the only time he wasn't at home was when he was at work, you know, and he worked long hours, did everything he could. And so everybody else outside of my family sees the greatness of my dad, right? Because he was in the church, in the community, and he was, he'd speak to everybody, you know, so there's so much to remember of him, but I didn't get to see that, you know, all the time. And it was, I'm the second. So I had to live up to him, you know, and so all of that stress that I was feeling, everybody like, what are you talking about? Your dad's in the house, you know, he comes to your games and stuff like that. And so what I had to learn in myself, and this, until I started figuring out my own issues with my dad, it never dawned on me that I was an issue for my son, because I always thought that I was, when my first time holding him, I declared that every time I saw him, I would tell him I love him. Every time I saw him, I would hug him, you know, kiss him on the forehead. I was going to do all that stuff that my dad didn't do, right? But what my dad did do, he was there every day in the house with me, and I wasn't with my son, right? So I'm sitting here, and we just found out, talking to a daggone psychologist, I was so busy trying to fix myself by fixing the relationship I didn't have with my dad, with my son, that I never for a second took into consideration how I was messing with his life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so my biggest regret is not being, or not laying the foundation of him thinking I was approachable. I really believe, and he hasn't said it to me, but I think that every time he's around me, he puts his cloak on, you know what I'm saying, to be protected against the same old stuff that I was putting him in. And it's just like, once I realized that, it's so heartbreaking, man.
Yeah.
But
Put that
you
on
know,
him.
the thing about it, man, it's never too late, right?
That's-
Especially, you know, all of our boys are in their 20s.
Yes.
And I, you know, my middle son is 29. Totally different relationship, right? Because you know, I wasn't in the home. You know, I raised him until he was about 5, and then me and his mother, you know, separated, and so we did holidays and summers and all that type of stuff.
Right.
But I was I don't know why it was different. But I allowed him to kind of just be who he was, and to this day, you know, he and I, he doesn't have a shell up, right? But my youngest son, and some of it, I never thought about this until, you know, in this moment, it's probably because I saw so much of myself in him, right? All of the misbehavior and all of the anger and all of the stuff is, you know, I treated him so harshly because, shit, I'm looking at myself.
That's how you are.
That's I don't realize it, but I'm in my mind trying to keep him from becoming me, right, and making the mistakes that I made, and so on and so forth. But, you know, to your point, man, I don't think it's too late, because Isaiah, my youngest son, he still has the cloak up to some extent, but it's getting less and less, right? With every interaction, with every visit. He lives in Tampa, so you know, there was a time where, like the last time I was there, December, we meet, and you know, he don't smoke cigars on a regular, but if I come in town, we'll meet at a cigar spot, grab some dinner, you know, smoke, and I don't think I asked him one question, man. He talked the whole time. Hey, Dad, this is what I'm thinking about. I want this and this and that. I'm over at this barbershop and I'm doing this and this and that. And there was a time where it would be like, well, hey, man, how you doing? I'm good. What you got going on? I don't know. You know, what's the plan for this? I ain't thought about it. Now, you know, I could still tell he ain't ready to just, you know,
open the date. Yeah, open the floodgates.
Give me all of him. But I think with the kind of work that I've been doing on myself and the relationship with him, because there are some times, right, when he'll do something and I'm like, I really want to tell this like, and then I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah.
Just keep my mouth shut.
Hey, son, you know, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And I have to actively, you know, make myself not revert back to that person that's judgmental and critical. Even if in my mind I'm like, yes, but he really needs it. I really need to tell him about himself in this moment. But I know the damage that it'll do. Like we can't afford to go backwards. So I got to let him, you know. And I set up a system to where he can make mistakes, but he can't make, you know. Well, he can make, you know, he could do something and go jail and all that. But you know, financially and all that, right? I got it set up to where you ain't gonna get evicted. You know, I want you to be a little bit more responsible, and I really want to get in your ass right now. But you know, I understand, and I tell you something, man, that I learned, and I learned it from this book called "A Gap in the Game." I said I learned I should just appreciate the man he's become, and not the man that I want him to be. Right. This kid is 24. He's almost finished college. He's had several jobs. He's got his own place. He's paying his own bills. You know, he has a couple of side hustles. You know, he's trying, right? He's doing the best that he can. And I should learn to appreciate that instead of thinking about what he ain't doing and what he ain't did and why he ain't doing this and this and that. So now, man, I just think to myself, and he's overcome some significant, you know, mental health, you know, challenges. Shit, man, this kid is doing good, man. Why? Let me just learn to appreciate him for who he is and not who I need him to be.
Let him be him. Let him be who.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I agree the same thing with y'all as far as like the relationship. I think that's one of the big things that you risk, and then you also risk the respect. You know, because it's like that's the one thing where I'm like, does my son you know, I want him to respect me so that he will actually listen to the things that I'm telling him and take them to heart, and not me sit there and tell him something and he's like, yep, and it's gone out the one ear out the other, in one ear out the other. So,
but you said something when I went and I told you about the coffee shop. After that, the very next time I was able to see him and talk with him, I was so focused on shutting up and just letting him control the conversation. I was just trying because I was desperate. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, how can I? And I talked with Nikki because I found out I needed to see him the day before or the night before. And so I immediately, or the night I found something happened, and I immediately went to him. And I was like, you know, the whole time I'm riding in the car, I'm like, just shut up and listen. Just shut up and don't try to be dad of the year. Don't try to give him that. Because I felt that, and I said it before, but I felt like everything he's going through, I have experienced. Everything is what I felt. But the reality of it is it's not true.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That his level, our kids' level of total frustration, the hardships that they have, they can't compare to what we had. They can't compare to what my father had, my grandfather, because generations worked so hard to make sure that they don't have the same problems we have. So when he says, work is killing me, and he's a barista, I can't compare that to me being in war, leading freaking soldiers into combat on convoys. I can't have that perspective there, and I have to sit there and listen and empathize, and that's something that's so hard for me
because it's his truth though, right?
That's the thing.
Your
that's
truth
the
is
reality.
yours, and his, that's the same thing with my son is, the stuff that he deals with, I don't find particularly, that challenging. But what I had to realize is, but that's not my truth.
Nah,
That's right. We can't be dismissive.
That's his truth, and you gotta accept that and figure out a way. How do I help him? Work through this as whether I think it's tough or not. Right. What is my role in helping him deal with his realities? Whatever, however they may be.
But what's funny is that's what we're supposed to do with our soldiers, our troops.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to solve problems.
Yeah.
We're supposed to counsel. And all of that starts with us finding out what's your aspirations, what are your goals, and we're supposed to tweak. But with our kids,
oh man,
we're like,
that's why. I think with our sons and stuff, especially our sons, is that I don't know, said it, but we see ourselves in them, and then we expect more out of them. So we don't. I know I probably didn't listen to my son as much as I should have, and paid attention to different signs and things that I did, with my soldiers and my young folks that work for me.
That's something that shame is not the right word, man, but
I'm embarrassed.
I'm disappointed that I didn't do it.
Shame might be the right word, right? Is that and I had a good friend, man, a mentor that I just talked to him 2 days ago, who he asked me this about my marriage at the time, but the same thing applies. He said, "How is it that you communicate so well with these airmen and everybody out here in the Air Force, and you have so much trouble communicating at home?" Right?
Yeah.
And now as it relates to this topic we're talking about today, I think to myself, how is it that I got so many Air Force sons and daughters that consider me, like their father, that I was able to empathize with, to
connect with,
help
all
them
that.
connect and work through, and then I couldn't do it with my own son. Right? Like that's embarrassing, man. That's like
it is.
And I've learned, over the years when it comes to a lot of things, to include this topic, is you got to give yourself grace, right? You can't be self-reflection. I think is really, really important, but you can't be so hard on yourself. Because you got to give them grace, and you got to give yourself grace. But that's something that sticks with me is why was I able to so easily understand and communicate with these? They weren't strangers, right? They were my troops, and then I had so much trouble doing it with my own kids, right?
So I know that answer for me, because I actually I dealt with it with Jalen, my son, but also with Nikki, because Nikki was a grown woman that has her own ideas, her own path in life, and so she started out enlisted, and then she went to OCS, and I took it upon myself, successful super soldier in my mind, to start critiquing and giving advice, and so it's the same situation with my son that I had with Nikki, to where all of a sudden they'd be like, I don't work for you, or that's not how I want to do it. And Nikki is not as she's a lot more aggressive than my son. So so it's like
She gonna say what's on her
I don't
mind.
have to I don't have to wait or guess what she was feeling. And so my reason for that is because two things that I figured out for myself. One is the investment in my soldiers or in my troops was always temporary. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And the second thing behind that is that the people that knocked on my door that wanted to talk to me, they had already understood that I could help them. Mm-hmm. I didn't set up that wall of the path that I led in the military was the exact path they wanted to navigate to get to their next goal. So one, it was like I was saying, it was they were drawn to me because of my experiences. Mm-hmm. My son hates the Army. Yeah. Because of, he never wants to talk about the Army. He really has no understanding of my path in the Army. Yeah. Because his mother was in the Army as well. So most of his time was not with either one of us. It was her going to work, coming back, and then when he was with me going to work and coming back. So he's already frustrated with that. But I know that I am better with soldiers because it's temporary and because they are drawn to me, and the fact that they don't feel the weight of having to live up to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. 'Cause I can be honest with them and tell them, no, ABC, no. XYZ, yes. But with my son, I want to tell him the alphabet every time I talk to her. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, it's so familiar. I'm so concerned. I'm so bought in on everything. And then if he fails, it's a reflection of me. Mm-hmm. So I'm like just so over the top with it. And that was my truth, which led me to shut up the next time that I made it. I had an opportunity to talk to him. And he was like, just hearing the stuff that he was saying. And I'm just sitting there like, I want to jump in. I want to say, no, but just let him keep talking. Uh-huh. And we had a very good conversation on a high top at McDonald's, just talking before I went to Korea the last time. And I knew that going forward, our relationship was going to be better. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't. Really? Yeah, it wasn't. And it was because of what you said. It takes time. Just because I shut up in one sit down doesn't mean that I'll shut up the next time. Yeah. Doesn't mean the next time he's in trouble, I'm not going to jump on him or something like that. So, and I will say it's been hard for me, and I'm not trying to get any sympathy at all. But
you're not going to get
the progress and the conversation that my son that we have, I have to admit it's getting better. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's slow motion, $6 Million Man throwback, running slow. But I have to, but I have to sit back and acknowledge that at least when I ask him a question, he's feeling more and more comfortable in the response.
To respond, yep.
Yeah. All right, so let me ask you, Lance, did you ever get to a point where you realized your approach might need to change?
It did. I did.
And when was that?
I was cutting my son's hair because, I was the barber, because I wouldn't take him to the barber. It costs too much to be taken, especially if he ain't gonna comb his hair, he gonna get the skin tight fade. Right. So I've been skin tight fading this boy for 14 years. How old he was, and he was upset because I was cutting all his hair off, and me not listening or asking or not wanting to spend it was probably what $10, $15 at the time to go get it, take him to a barber and let him give him whatever,
Right.
whatever the
own
hairstyle,
hairdo,
his own hairstyle was, not listening to him, but finding out later that he didn't want to get the ball fade because kids would be
Slapping in the back.
well,
of the
not
head?
well talking at school like
Oh.
calling him a cancer victim or just
Oh.
just mean shit
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So I got at the time when I'm cutting his hair, I'm getting pissed, and I was like, look, I ain't cutting your hair ever again. You never have to worry about me cutting your hair again.
Dad, that's what Dad said.
That's what Dad said, and I haven't. Well, I didn't cut his hair. I didn't cut it again all the way because this was probably he was in 8th grade, and I can't remember if it was 8th grade or 9th grade. He might have been in 8th grade. But I never cut his hair again till he told me about why he didn't want the haircut, like the ball fade, and then I felt like, God, like shit, man, I could have left some hair up on your head or whatever, but he'll let me touch up his hair now, every now and then if he don't make it to the barber, but it's just
it's funny, man, the barber. We try to relive our barbershop experience. Like to me, man, growing up, the barbershop was a place to be. That's where you go learn
so
stuff.
much fun. Yeah.
Right? As a kid, it's like that's part of the community, man. You go in the barbershop and the old heads are, they arguing about, life and politics and basketball and all this other stuff. And, it was a joy to be able to go to the barbershop. Yeah. Fast forward, I first joined the military before I started shaving my head, which I started shaving my head early, like when I was 24, just because I was in Korea. I tried to cut my own hair and mess it up. And then this girl was like, "Oh, you look nice with a bald head." I've been shaving my thing ever since. So I don't know.
Get our priorities. That's what we do.
That's what we do. Yep.
But I tried to do that for my sons, man. It was like I always wanted to take them to the barbershop just because I wanted them to experience that.
You see, my father cut my hair.
Yeah.
Oh, so you never had that
I
experience?
never had to go to the barber. My father always.
But it's
cut
so
my
different now.
But then again, I wasn't getting
a lot different,
a
right?
bald fade either. I had hair up on my head,
Wow. No, I get it.
Yeah. I realized my approach needed to change, man. Like I said, when my son was about 18 and 19, he was in college, and he was really struggling, and it dawned on me that I was a major part of why he was struggling, in the present, and as I started reflecting, thinking back, like, not only am I a problem now, I've been a problem for him for years, right? Because he was off and on with me and with his mom, and you know how moms and their in the kid's best interest, you need to call your son and tell him this. So now she wouldn't necessarily call and say you need to call your son and tell him you love him. She would call him and tell him don't do this, stop doing that, do this, do this and that. She didn't pick up the phone, and it's like, hey man, you need to
It's just quiet
all
on
them
there
years
they ain't saying nothing.
of that, and then when it came to a head with this incident, that's when I realized, oh, I gotta change, and that I made a major shift that put us on a path to having a much better relationship. I even told him, and I even really feel like, because I have this type of relationship with my daughter, who's the oldest, and my middle son, is which is blasphemy, especially for black parents, right? That I see them more as friends now that they're adults than they. I'm still their father. They still see me that way, but. We get together, man. Ain't no fussing, ain't no cussing. We hang out, we drink.
Got conversation. You got good conversations with them and talk.
But I would still treat my youngest son like he was a little kid, and so now I try to share that same energy. He went to barber school. I supported him. I even let him go in there. He ain't had no hair, but I'm like, hey man, trim a beard up or something. Right. So yeah, I try to create. That was the big change for me, is how do I create an environment where I see him as a friend. He sees me as a friend.
Yeah.
That happens to be his father.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you start talking to black parents, especially black men, you're like, hey, shit, I ain't no friends.
Yeah.
I'm that boy daddy. And they ain't gonna never change. I'm gonna always be a daddy.
Yeah. But
Now you they daddy, but you also
Well, I mean,
to the
but
point where
that's
you realize this a grown man. And that's why I mean,
Yeah.
I try to tell mine all the time. It's like, you grown. You're a grown man.
Yeah.
You know, you got to make your own decisions. I'm here to help you, and I'm here to be here to support you and whatever. Because I always try to let them know that's like, whatever you do, we gonna be here. You know, you might get a quick blow up from us, but I'm sure you would expect that. But we here to support you, and we gonna get you to where you need to
Yeah.
be.
Because again, if one of my boys was going through the same thing, I wouldn't be like, see, I told you need this. I'd be like, hey man, well, damn. That's kind of messed up. What can I do? How can I be helpful to you at this time?
Yep.
What you need me to do?
Yep.
I tell you what, man, just come crash at the crib. Da 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 da.
I got you.
Yep.
So why
I mean,
wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I extend that same courtesy and respect and empathy to my own son? And so that's what I've been working on is how do I create the type of relationship where he sees me not only as his father but as a friend that he can confide in.
Because you want them to talk. I mean, that's my main thing, I guess, with my boy is I just want him to be able to come up and he feels comfortable just talking to me about stuff, let me know what's on his mind, what's bothering him, or what, just like, because I always ask, like, how you doing? Because my son is he's at the house still. He's working. He pays his bills and all of that stuff. But they're at the house, and I understand that because it's expensive to have to go out, especially up around here, to try to get an apartment and stuff. Yeah. So, like, okay, what's your next step? What do you want to do next to try to increase that?
So when did you make up in your mind? Because you know for a fact that you wouldn't have been able to do that as a kid. So when did you make up in your mind that having my kids past an age that I know I couldn't be in the house, when did you become okay with that?
Probably COVID time. I mean that helped more as far as like they might come back, because I was expecting, because Mackenzie has my daughter, my oldest, she's the oldest. Her degree in that supply chain management. It's like, man, you can go do it. It's got the
logistics.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to do. And then Miles and Mackenzie was graduating from school when COVID started, which slowed her stuff down as far as like being able to get a job and get out there and do all of that stuff. And then Miles was in school during COVID time, which hindered his the college experience as far as being able to be out, go to parties, do it was more that isolation type of thing.
That plays culturally, right? Yeah. It's a huge cultural norm in the black community. I don't care where you're going, but when you turn 18, you're getting out of here.
Yeah.
And in many cases, we know they're not ready.
Yeah.
We know for a fact they barely making it through high school. So why are we gonna send them to college? Yeah. We know how challenging it is for a young person, even with a college degree, to find employment and housing and all this other stuff. But yet we create this, you got to get out of this house. And some of it's out of selfishness, right?
Yeah,
I'm ready to be an empty nester. I'm ready to walk around naked.
Freedom.
But we think that's the blueprint to being somebody being successful.
But
or whatever.
The reality is, because that's part of that rushing, right? Rushing our sons and daughters into adulthood as opposed to, hey man, I know you ain't, even if you're going to college, if you want to stay here, get yourself, save up some money. You don't have to put yourself, you're already going to maybe create some. Now for us, it's probably different because we, veterans and their programs to help our kids go to school and all that. But, why not allow them to, now, I don't want you here at 45.
Yeah.
But
no,
you're right.
But I think it's okay you stay here, you save up some money, you learn a little bit more about life and manhood and womanhood and all that type of stuff. Then at some point, you'll be ready to get out. You ain't got no debt. You could be successful. You can. But
that's
but
the
again,
thing.
we rush them to.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Is like mine in the house. So the deal was, say if you're gonna be in the house, then you're gonna max out IRA every year. You're gonna put something away so that at least you're
Yeah.
building something so that whenever you do want to retire, or you got something to fall back on. Depending on whatever you're doing, you got this also. So
Well, plus we were all mature and squared away at 19.
shit.
That's the thing.
Hey man, look, it's crazy that I even made it as far as I did, man. I was a menace to society, man, at 19, bro. Man, I got an Article 15 during the first Gulf War. I got more letters of counseling than you can shake a stick at. Letters of reprimand, letters of admonishment. I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
Mug said, "You are hereby admonished." I was like, "Oh man, that sounds like abolished." Am I out? Am I?
Y'all kicking me out.
Story for a different day, man. But I had a great
like
mentor that.
Are we
helped
harder
me,
on our kid? I mean, well, especially our boys, because we know how we were, and we don't want to say you're not gonna do that dumb shit that I did. You know, you're not gonna be there.
That's why the fear of them failing the same way we fail, and we're lucky because I was the same way.
Yeah.
I was still fighting as a daggone sergeant in the daggone army, still fighting people.
Yep.
And so lucky that stuff wasn't automatically going to my records.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There were people that was looking out for me that I didn't even know were looking out for me. So,
I mean, I wasn't in the Army or the Air Force at the time, but I was in school drinking, and drunk, in D.C., walking streets, and I mean, just
he was passed out now.
I woke up in the alley one time. I was drinking and smoking.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like,
Colonel.
what the hell
Colonel
what
right
is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? And I'm on doing ROTC, and I'm also on the wrestling team. So it's like,
Why?
what the fuck? I mean, because I sit there and think about some of that sometimes. Like, what the hell was I doing?
I've done a lot of stupid stuff. But my realization came way later than y'all. So y'all win on this one. Because I was...
Ain't no win or lose.
Because I was still in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean moment is whenever I got to see my son, I just had so much to give him in my mind. And like I said, my son's all cloaked up and it's just bouncing off of him. But my humbling came where, and I'll tell the story so they can hear it. So Nikki and I moved here to San Antonio, and my son was living here. And I found out from his mother that he was working at this coffee shop in the Rim. And so he wasn't answering my phone calls. And so when I found out where he worked and when he was working, because his mom told me, I went to the coffee shop, and he was working in the back when I showed up. So I asked the lady, I got some type of drink. I don't drink coffee. So I got some type of funky drink. Yeah, man. I get hyper when I drink coffee, man. And it's no good for anybody. So, except when I was a drill sergeant. Yeah, them jokers love giving me coffee so I could just lose my mind. I asked them to let him know that I was there, and I went and sat in the back so that we could have space when we could talk or whatever. And I would see him come out and look, and just be like, I could see the fear in his face, and I'm just like, why is my son scared of me? You know what I'm saying? What? And then that led me down a freaking rabbit hole of what did I do to my son to make him so scared of me? And so from that moment on, I made a conscious decision to not lean in the way I normally do, and not to be aggressive. Like I got a picture of me picking my grown son up on my shoulders, like we were wrestling, and I was like, "You ain't ready," and I'm like, "That's adding to the thing." I mean, I can't let him beat me, but I could at least not put myself in those situations. You know what I'm saying? So, but the biggest problem, now that there is a problem, was me. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. And I had to adjust that. And when he would not acknowledge me in that coffee shop, and then when he told them that if I asked again, say that he's not ready to see me, and I'm like, what is this? And then I left there crushed because I'm like, what could possibly have I done to make this grown man now not even want to talk to me? You know what I'm saying? And so, and it's better now than that, but just the fact that I was the problem, I could see I was the problem, I understood I was the problem, that was earth shattering to me. Because I'm like, I've only been, in my mind, positive, but evidently it's not, you know. So that jacked me up on that one.
Ooh. All right. So when you look at the men your sons have become today, where do you feel like you got it right, and where do you think you may have introduced pressure too early?
So I'll start with what I think I got right. I think I was able to lead a life that when he's ready, he can see and be proud of. That's the thing I got right. The problem is that's very selfish because that's the only thing that I think I got right. I don't think that our early times when we were locked in, I don't think that I don't think I was negative or bad as a bad father, but I just know that the only thing I got right was not being a on paper loser, you know. So when he's ready, or maybe even if I'm not here anymore, because pass on or whatever, I know for a fact that if he looks me up, he'll see somebody that not only was holding pressure on him and wanting him to succeed, he'll be able to at least see that I was successful in my job. What I got wrong was I let my emotions get in the way. So like when I got mad at his mother, my contact was limited, and I did not fight hard enough to get through those blockades that were there, whether it was self-caused or a situation with his mother, whatever. So looking back, I know that I had my own dad issues, but when I was able to realize that my dad issues were because of me too, and then I'm doing a different kind of stress on my son, it was just crushing, man. And I had to, through mental health, I had to get help, and I had to work my way through that because I'd never seen myself as a failure before, and all this time I thought I was
Doing the right thing, doing it right.
Yeah. And I took on too much of my dad by pretending to not be like my dad, and all of that, I messed up the relationship with my son. So the reality of that was crushing and all that stuff that I said, but I'm more ready than ever to be in his life. I'm more ready than ever to humble myself. I'm more ready to be a friend instead of a dictator. So I just hope that I get every opportunity to apologize and to move forward than where I have been in the past. That's my only hope. So that's where I am. What about you?
Yeah. I think the things that I got right is same thing, right? I feel like I set a good example for them as a human being. All three of my kids are amazing human beings. They're very respectful. They're very thoughtful when it comes to other people. And I think between me and their mothers, they are we raised them to be free thinkers. So, you know, I love the fact that they're able to articulate their thoughts and opinions about life, about religion, about politics, about what's going on in the world today. And they choose their own path on what they believe and how they see things. And, you know, we're able to have some really, really interesting conversations, man, about politics, religion, and stuff like that. So I think, you know, that part I feel like, you know, not just me, but as parents, we got it right. Again, what I feel like I got wrong was the too much pressure early on to be tough, to suck it up, to work through it, to just deal with life, to, you know, and not creating an environment where, you know, particularly, again, my youngest son was able to express himself on what he was feeling and what he was going through, you know, whether I agreed with it or thought it made sense or not. And so that all that pressure that I put on him, you know, so early is definitely something that I got wrong.
How about you?
I feel, I mean, my kids are super human beings. You know,
let me throw that in there
those.
too. I agree. I don't want to leave that out. Not to interrupt you, but Jalen and Kaylin are outstanding people, to where they're non-judgmental, to where they're open, and to where they are, when you leave them, both of them, their personalities for their individualities shine. And that's something that I'm proud of. 100%.
Yeah.
So,
thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
Being as far as for my son specifically, being empathetic and caring, loving man, showing him that, I think I did right by that. You know, because I will hug my son, kiss my son. He'll see me how I treat his mom, well, my wife and daughter, my mom. You know, he sees all of that, so he knows how to be. Super respect. I mean, he's a super respectful, caring young man, and I think he knows that or feels that. For me, I think where I got it wrong was allotting the time for them, giving them the time and listening, just queuing in on.
Oh, you talking about your time?
Yeah, my time.
Oh, okay.
My time. Yeah,
Okay.
not spending enough time. I guess we're being call it dismissive on like whatever they're doing because I'm not interested in it. I don't, it's like what's that? Oh, okay, and just keep on moving because it's not something that I want. Because I would trying to pressure the sports and things like that on them that they or he was not interested in at all. Didn't have any interest in it. So I mean, I just jacked that. I just jacked that piece up. And I'm not trying like. I think since I retired, well, probably a little bit before I retired, I just said, man, I don't want to have, because my father and my older brother had like that's what I remember when they were young, when my brother was younger and teenage young man,
Button heads,
20s,
huh?
yeah. I mean, just
Really?
that type of thing where it was like, I don't want to have that type of relationship with my son. Now, my father and my brother, before my father passed, I mean, they had a great, as adults, grown adults, they had a great relationship, but I didn't want to get to that point with my son, so I feel like I drew back, where it was just like, well, I ain't even gonna say, I'm not even gonna worry about it, I ain't even gonna say anything about it, I'm not gonna insert myself in that piece or whatever, not have an opinion, where I wish I would have listened more and been more, took more interest in what their interests were, instead of trying to make my interests his interests, or my daughter to their interests, and that's what I learned how to do that, being older, and then especially since retiring and stuff. It's like, what's going on? I'll sit down and listen and watch, and it's like, oh, I like that too, and I don't know if it's just because of where I am in my life now, or it's like I probably would have enjoyed
liked
this.
that
Yeah,
when you were-
enjoyed
yeah,
this
yeah.
when I would, when I was working. So it probably would have helped me because a lot of the things that they do and like are relaxing. It's like, man, it's like, this is okay. This is pretty cool. So,
So let me ask this question, starting with you. Your vision of what your children would be versus reality on how they are, and acknowledging the failures that we had when it came to trying to raise them and help raise them right. Are they the same on what you envision them to be versus what they are? Are they better? Are they? Because when I envisioned my son in the beginning, I saw a little Tommie, and I am old enough and able now to say that another Tommie in his time, it wouldn't have worked out as well because he wouldn't have been able to get by with some of the stupid stuff I've done, or some of the really stupid stuff I've done. He may not have survived, And so, how do you see that?
There was probably a time when I would say I wish they would have done this or done that or blah blah blah. But now, man, I think they're exactly where they're supposed to be.
Where they're supposed to be,
My only goal for them now is for them to become the best version of themselves, whatever that is. Right? I don't get to dictate or create, a picture of what they should be. They get to define success for themselves. All three of them are, in a space where they're happy, they're comfortable, they're successful,
They're making their way, right?
And that means the world to me, right? And I'm sure they all, and I know, they all have aspirations of, continuing to grow and be more successful and make more money and take more vacations and all this other stuff, right? And but that's for them to decide, and not me to create this artificial. Y'all need to do this. You need to be at this. You should do this. Do that. Hey, you tell me what you want to be or do. Let me know how I can be most helpful.
We can't create their
otherwise.
timeline for them.
Not at all. Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I always tell folks, like, I just want my kids. I said that to be good adults, good people, and to be able to take care of themselves. I said if they can take care of themselves and they're happy, I'm happy. So but we can't. I mean, we can't create their timeline. I mean, as much as we would want to say at 3 years you should be here, at 5 years here, at 20 years you should be here. Because they're not going to be the same as us. They didn't grow up. That's why they didn't grow up like my kids didn't grow up like I did. They didn't have the same environment. They didn't go to the same schools. I mean, just
everything.
It was
so
different. So I can't try to put on them what I did, or for them to have the same passion and hunger that I did for whatever sports or my career, or just that drive. It's just a different drive, and part of that, which I learned and I accept, was that it's because I set it up for them that way, so that they wouldn't have to deal with any of that. Me and my wife did. So it's.
The other thing that I think we should all take into consideration is we consider ourselves successful, but we're only thinking about now.
Yes.
When I was 24, I wasn't successful.
Exactly.
When I was 29, I wasn't successful. When I was 33, that's the ages of all my kids, I was not successful. All right. But
it's on my way somewhere.
So the part of the challenge is, I was, during all those 3 ages, I was making mistakes. I was moving forward. I was sliding backwards. I was, making my way. Right. And, but somehow we look at them like, well, why you ain't successful yet? Or why you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, and again, they're all successful in their own right, and they're making, great progress. But they got so much more life to live.
They do. They do.
Absolutely.
We can't get to the mountaintop and declare
That's right.
success.
Yeah.
This is how it should be.
And forget
Yeah.
about, how many rocks that
What we did all the
stumbled
way
and
going
how
up.
many times we fell back down and how many times we stopped to take a break and how many times we ran out of water and
Yeah.
whatever was happening while we was trying to get to where we were going.
Yeah. So I'm the same way. It's just like they've turned out so much better than my limited young mind could have imagined at that time. And they didn't need the military. I needed the military. You know what I'm saying? They needed to find their way, and I needed to get out of the way to help them find their way. So the fact that they are, they're smart enough to know they need a job. They're smart enough to know or to find a space that they could maneuver, and then they're capable of being better. That's all I can ask for. The fact that they can still be better, and the fact that they are living through this life and making the choices and stuff that's best for them. That's way more than I could ever.
It is. I mean, it's like how can I? I mean, that's what I always tell myself. Like, how can I support you? What you need from me? What you need? What can I do to help you?
Yeah.
We asked the question: are we raising boys too fast? And maybe the answer is we did what we thought was necessary at the time. But now, looking at the men they've become, we can start to see what that gave them and what it may have cost. Maybe the real responsibility now is being aware enough to adjust what we pass forward.
Absolutely. Hey, Kaleth,
My man.
really appreciate you taking time to be on our podcast. And on the outside looking in, I never knew you when I was seeing you, but I was proud to see the path you made, and I was proud to see you leading the Air Force in a way, because I was paying attention. You were leading the Air Force in a way that anybody that saw you could tell that you cared about the Air Force.
Yeah.
So I appreciate being able to see that without even knowing you.
Yeah, man,
And then
appreciate
get to meet you and realize that it's genuine. So that's good stuff.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. That means a lot, man. I'm looking forward to, I might not be on the podcast again unless you have me.
Yeah, absolutely. You will be back.
But I'm looking forward to just, being able to come over here and kick it, man, and get the families and stuff together.
Yeah.
I got my girlfriend is here too, so that it'll be
Okay.
good to. And she's looking for a community, right? So she's looking for.
Hey,
Yeah, we can
this
do
is
it. We got
man.
a group. So
Yeah.
thanks for being on the show again, brother. And let's keep the conversation going.